Welcome into the last Sabres draft show presented by Coca-Cola Zero Sugar. Marty, you have no idea what it feels like to be the prospects we're about to hear about in this episode, because you were preparing yourself as a first rounder. Everyone was talking about Marty Biron, but the names you're going to hear about in this episode, they wonder, will they get drafted at all?
I have a little bit of an idea, just because my draft year in 1995 all happened in one day. So I got drafted in the first round, and this may sound a little bad for me, but after I was all done with my media circus, getting lunch, meeting everybody, I went back and sat in the stands with some of my friends that were waiting in the 8th and 9th and 10th round at the time to see if they were going to get picked. Some did, some didn't. So I have a feeling that I know what it's like for those people to be sitting waiting for their name to be called late in the second day.
Does one name come to mind from that?
No, but I remember there's a lot of Russian names being called. So my one buddy was like, if I could just add an O and a V at the end of my name, maybe I'd get picked.
Well, you know what? We really enjoy the insight from all of our draft analysts, but it's especially important at this time because I think by nature, we all see the game a little differently. We all gravitate to certain individuals for whatever reason. So our experts have an opportunity to share some of the names of, players that have caught their attention for a variety of reasons. Let's start with the name Devin Kaplan.
One of the guys that I've liked throughout this year is Devin Kaplan, who I think has not really put it all together. He's at the National Team Development Program. Could be a second or third round pick. He's got skill. He's got some speed. He makes a lot of plays. It's just, the consistency isn't there yet. He's headed to Boston University. I like that he's going to be able to go to a system where they're going to really open things up. He's going to play for Jay Pandolfo there. And I think he'll get better. And I think he'll just kind of continue to improve.
Kaplan ranked 61st among North American skaters by Central Scouting. You have to go a little deeper to find this next one in Lucas Edmonds, even though he was third in OHL scoring with 113 points. Edmonds ranked 104th by Central Scouting and caught the attention of Sam Cosentino.
Next thing you know, this guy's a 100-point guy. So it's really difficult to overlook that. Now, smallish, I don't think he's filled out physically, not physically mature like a lot of these guys, but I think he's a guy who probably surprised himself with his ability to come over here and play. Having said that, he played some in the Pro League over in Sweden, so it wasn't like he hadn't played at a high level before. But to come over and do it consistently with the schedule, on the bus, playing in Kingston, getting the opportunity to play, with Shane Wright, he's going to get a lot of viewings, and I think that will benefit him greatly down the road. But just a fascinating guy for me in that he makes that decision to come over here and looks like it's aces. Because, again, you have to be invited here. And he got the invite as an overage player, which, again, it just doesn't happen very often.
Back to Finland we go, thanks to Corey Pronman, who zeroed in on Johnny Nieman.
6'1", 6'2", winger. We were around a point per game in the second division pro league in Finland. Really good skill, smart, can make plays. He has a really good shot. Just his skating isn't the best. That's why he's not going to go in the first round. Guys who look like that tend to be more of a second or third rounder. He's among the younger players in the draft, so you're hopeful. He's producing already versus pros, and he's only about a month or two away from being 23 eligible. Maybe there's some projection there, and that's what makes him exciting. Like I said, it is not a for sure thing, but there's a lot of tools there that you can dream on.
Previous episodes have given us some insight into defensemen on the smaller side. Adam Kimmelman also pays attention to that in the form of prospect Jake Livenovic.
Jake Livenovic from Chicago Steel in the United States Hockey League is a guy that I watch, and he's undersized at 5'9" and 150 pounds, so there's obviously some room to grow, but he's got an edge to his game that it's not just he's going to get under your arms and kind of bump you around. He's a guy who will throw the body around. He's stronger than you might realize, and he takes guys by surprise. When I've watched him on video, he's always been like, ooh, I didn't know like a guy that size could play that style and get away with it. He's a gifted offensive player, but the edge to his game, the physicality that he brings in that small package, obviously he's going to have to put more weight on to play that way at the NHL. But I think there's a lot there that you can like if you give him 3 years of college hockey, some time in the minor leagues to develop. I think he's a really interesting day two project that I think some teams are gonna be really excited to get.
Scott Wheeler's sleeper was the leading scorer of the Ottawa 67s this past year. He's Austrian Vincent Roorer.
He came over and was their leading scorer on quite frankly, a bad Ottawa 67s team after they've been basically a dynasty in the OHL for the last half decade. And they took a step back, and he had to do a lot as a small, inexperienced September birthday, the very youngest player in the draft, days away from being eligible for 2023. And he was looked like a star in some viewings. So he's a kid that really, really excites me. A fascinating kid, grew up on the same street as Marco Rossi, who we know is now having success with the Minnesota Wild. And again, one of those cohorts, one of those kids who, those two kids grew up together and they've both made it out of a country that doesn't typically produce NHL talent. So Rower's a kid, because of his age, because of his inexperience, because of the room he still has to fill out and get stronger and play catch up with his peers. That's an exciting opportunity for me if you're looking to develop a player. And then he's got skill. He can really shoot the puck, especially sort of that curl and drag shot that we see a lot of in kids now, and he can really skate and handle it. So the offensive tools are there. Now it's about getting stronger, filling out, and using that extra year that he has over a lot of these kids to take advantage of it.
Marty, there are sleepers and then there are deeper sleepers. And I think this guy in Zachariah Wisdom would have to fall into the latter category. And it appears as if it's a little bit of a hometown bias on the part of Chris Peters.
Zachariah Wisdom, who played for the Cedar Rapids Rough Riders. They're the closest team to me, but I always end up having one, and he's the guy. He's Zade Wisdom's younger brother. Zade Wisdom was a draft pick by the Philadelphia Flyers. He's going to Colorado College. He is a guy that plays every single game with his hair on fire. Every single shift he's going, he's looking to hit somebody, he's looking to make a play. You know, the offense wasn't there this year, and I think in his role on Cedar Rapids, it wasn't going to come. But at CC, he's going to go play for Chris Mayotte. They're going to try to open things up. They're starting to build a little bit of a program there. He's the kind of guy where you say, okay, we stash him on our fourth line. He's going to give us meaningful shifts. He's going to kill penalties for us. He's a guy that all season long, because of his size, his speed, and his competitiveness, is a guy that I've just enjoyed watching play. And I think deep sleeper, I'm talking 6th, 7th round, is where I would expect him to go if he goes at all. But that's the kind of guy where if a team doesn't draft him, I'm pretty sure he'll end up being a college free agent in the end.
And the last of our sleepers, Danny Jilkin.
Daniel Jilkin was a guy I thought was for sure going to be a first-round pick coming into the season. I saw that guy when he was 15, 16, coming up in the OHL before. Obviously, he missed the season. This was his first OHL season. He's a late birthday, so he's been around for a little bit. Played on Team Canada's U18 team last season, too. And I saw a 6'1" center. He could skate. He can shoot it. He's got great skill, playmaking ability, just really inconsistent this year. Scored far below what I thought he was going to do, which is why he won't be a first-round pick. So I think he'll either be a second or a third-round pick. But he was a guy who I thought scouts thought was going to be a first-round pick coming into the year, and he might be on the way down, but it might have just been a little bit of a blip. And I think he's a guy who has potential to pop down the line as well.
Marty, we're coming to the end of our draft previews. Are you shedding a tear at this moment, as we have not heard about a single netminder?
No, I'm not shedding a tear. Obviously, I mean, I want goalies to be picked and pick as high as first round if they can. But it's understandable that goalies take more time to develop. So when you're taking a goalie or looking to take a goaltender in the draft, you have to think about the development and the years that you got to put into it. So do I think the Sabres should go and pick a goaltender? Absolutely. I think every draft you should consider a goaltender. If not early, probably with your last 2 picks, get one. But I'm not shedding a tear. I know that goalies can come on invitation after non-drafted players, so it's fine with me.
But there is one in Europe that has caught your attention.
So most goalies now are all 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", right? But Hugo Avlid is 5'10", really fast, kind of like UC Soros. And he's from a twin, so his brother Matthias is also a draft-eligible player this year, ranked in the top 50, I believe, for European skaters. You remember a twin goaltender from Sweden that may have had a pretty good career?
Did you attend his retirement?
I attended his jersey retirement ceremony, and I fill in once in a while as a backup for MSG in New York. It's Henrik Lundqvist, right? His brother Joel and Henrik were twins. They both had really good careers. Obviously, Henrik a Hall of Fame career, in my opinion. So maybe there's a Swedish connection with another twin goaltender over there.
Sabres haven't drafted a goalie in either of the last 2 years, but of course did pick up the rights to Devin Levi along the way, and Devin falls into this sleeper category. He was a 7th rounder in 2020. You think of recent Sabre picks, Lucas Rusek comes to mind. I'm definitely optimistic about him. He was taken 160th in 2019. You had Brendan Hagel, Victor Olofsson before that. So
Paul Gustad, Brian Campbell, even Ryan
Paul
Miller.
Byron.
Ryan Miller was a 5th round pick, so
Indeed.
it's considered sleeper maybe, although he was high talented goaltender at the time. But yeah, there is definitely players that can make an impact later in the draft.
All right, so make sure you join us for all our continuing coverage leading up to the draft. And in Montreal, we will be on site with our daily shows. And of course, the draft happens on July 7th and 8th. Thanks to Coca-Cola Zero Sugar. And of course, to you for watching. We'll see you soon.